Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breech coming to you here. Yesterday I did my video on basically the superstar of the year, going off the NoDQ.com poll for their award that they get. Their internet awards that they give away at the end of every year. There's videos that go along with these where you can see Jeff Meacham and Aaron Riff discuss over who they think is going to go down. Basically, this is just my video response of basically what I think is going to be going down. In this video, honestly, they put up 6 names for different tag teams that they think could be tag team of the year. The Usos, the Wolves, Golden Stardust, Team 3D, Miz and Mizdow, and the Hardys. Honestly, I sort of made this a little bit of a joke in the beginning of my Superstar of the Year, sort of thinking that it was a little bit weird that AJ Styles wasn't named on that list, seeing how he was one of the biggest single stars of the year. But honestly, when I look at this, I don't understand why in the world the Young Bucks aren't on here as the one of the tag team names of the year. You can see that they were New Japan champions, they were ROH champions, they were PWG tag team champions this year, holding all 3 titles all at one time, and honestly, very funnily, losing all 3 titles and almost all at the same time as well. A lot of rumors were started basically that they were packing up and they were going to be going to NXT, joining the WWE system, a rumor that never really panned out, but I think a lot of people are really hoping that these guys go into it. These guys do the larger independent shows. These guys do the smaller independent shows. If you ever have a chance to see the Young Bucks wrestle live, I've heard it is one of the best independent wrestling experiences that you can ever see. When I watch the PWG DVDs that I've picked up lately, normally it's always the Young Buck matches that always really stand out from the shows down there in Reseda. So honestly, I can't give it to them because they're not on the list, but they probably would be one of the biggest tag teams of the year in my book. Starting from the bottom, you can cross off Miz and Mizdow. These guys are barely even a team. I know that they just won the tag team championship, and they are the tag team champions of the WWE right now. But these guys have been in a tag team for maybe even 2 weeks at the most. How can you even have them on the list for tag team of the year? When you look at teams like the Hardys and you look at team like Team 3D, these are 2 big stories for TNA. When they went into their dying days, they went and taped all of those shows up there in New York for the last 2 set of tapings that TNA did. Matt Hardy coming back and joining TNA, leaving Ring of Honor was honestly a really big deal. It was a bigger deal than I thought it was going to be. When I look at both of these teams who both reunited to have these series of matches, putting the Wolves over, I thought that these guys really stepped up to the plate. Devon and Matt Hardy, guys that aren't really full time on the main roster of TNA. They really elevated the game of TNA, and there's not a lot of people talking about TNA, but when they were doing these series of tag team matches, where they had one regular match, and then it went to a tables match, which led to a ladder match, which led to it was a Full Metal Mayhem, is that what they call their TLCs over there? Honestly, both of those guys there, but they didn't wrestle full on things. And when you look at both of those teams, I think Bully Ray and Jeff Hardy are both worth more as singles, even with Bully Ray calling out Brock Lesnar on Twitter. I don't know if he was doing that for a response or what it was, but basically after the Team 3D did the Japan Bound for Glory show, they were free agents. It was a big story that they called out the Bullet Club. A lot of people were thinking they were trying to get booked into New Japan right away. Seeing how they were free agents, they could leave that building and go right over to New Japan and be featured on their show, and nothing could really happen to them. I'm a little bit surprised that it took all the way until Bully Ray's tweet to Brock Lesnar saying that he could be the one that could end the one that ended the 21-0 streak or whatever it was. It was worded a little bit better when he said it. But it really hit me. I was like, I've seen him, tweet about, being featured on some indies, but he's not really being featured in anything. It was sort of a thought maybe he might go back to WWE, maybe he might go to New Japan and wrestle with Devon as Team 3D, sort of keeping that thing going. Maybe he'll just end up back in TNA now that they have the Destination America deal. From there, we'll go to Golden Stardust. They held the championships for a little bit. They're on a little bit of a run. Every once in a while, when I think about them, basically I think you know, it's good to see these guys back together. But honestly, they have the tag team championships, but they had the tag team champions last year. It just wasn't as Gold and Stardust. It was as Cody and his Goldust, basically the Rhodes brothers, and they were, you know, fighting to keep their job. They went up against the Shield. They had one of the best tag team matches of the year at Battleground, going up against Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. They're a little bit freaky for me. I'm not really just gonna give it to them. When it comes down to it, of these lists, you got the Usos and you got the Wolves. The Wolves is a team who had really great matches for a company that really didn't really get on the map this much this year. TNA really sunk and sunk and sunk. The Usos, on the other hand, are in a tag team division in WWE where they held the championships from right before WrestleMania until they kept them all the way until, I can't even remember what pay-per-view they lost them on, but it was somewhere along the way. I think it was after SummerSlam. So they had a good run. I mean, they had a match featured on the WrestleMania pre-show, which isn't on the big show, so does it really even matter in the long run? Because you go out and you buy the DVD or you watch them on the WWE Network, you have to go to a special section just to see this one match that did happen. But you know, they built up a tag team division for WrestleMania, which featured them, Ryback, the Real Americans, and then you had the Matadors in there. Great run by the Usos. They've really stepped up to the plate. I think that they're becoming more of a dramatic tag team. The feature that they did on them on the WWE Network called 10 Hours to Houston, which showed them as they're telling their story from before they were superstars, of them growing up, playing football in high school, from there going off and getting trained by Booker T, was excellent. For a 27-minute documentary, I feel like I know more about the Usos than I've known about them in their 4-year run in WWE so long, since they debuted in WWE back in 2010. But Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, I knew that these guys were money. You know, they left Ring of Honor. Sort of Davey Richards was on a little bit more bad terms than Eddie Edwards was. But, you know, when they went to TNA, I thought these guys could easily be, you know, two of the biggest names to really help this company out. I was sort of really surprised that they put them in there as a tag team. I thought maybe they'll have a little bit of a tag team run and they'll split them up into singles, and then they can go in their own separate directions. But as a tag team, these guys have really stepped up to the plate. The one thing that really put TNA on the main stage for everybody to see, you know, for them to go out and get this Destination America deal, was their series of tag team matches with the Hardys and Team 3D. I think that's the one reason I'm going to give them the tag team of the year. I guess you can say give them the Slammy or whatever the award is. Yeah, it just sucks that basically once that thing was finally over, it was supposed to make them look like one of the best tag teams in the history of wrestling, or at least one of the best tag teams that's going today, however they worded it. But, you know, I think it was Davey Richards who broke his leg or broke his foot, and he wasn't able to wrestle, and it sort of stalled out on him. So maybe when Destination America kicks back up in 2015 with TNA on the network, maybe they can pick up and get back to where they're going. I've never broken a leg. I've never broken a foot. I don't know how long he's going to be out of action. I haven't really heard about it, but I think most people were thinking that TNA was folding up shop, so it wasn't really going to matter that much in the long run of how hurt Davey Richards was, because he wasn't going to have a place that was able to work for. But congratulations to the Wolves for having a great year, and tip one to you right here, my Pepsi. Cheers on having a good one next year.